Hola, clase. Today we're going to do a little bit of history. This history is Chicano history. Chicanos are people of Mexican descent or Mexican heritage who are born in the United States. A big part, or a part, of Chicano history are lowriders. I'm going to read you this article, and then you'll follow on the next couple pages and do the next activities. So, a visual history of lowriders. Take a little trip and see. This was written by Jeff Enlow, May 11th, 2016. When Mexican American communities of Southern California started the lowriding phenomenon, they were actually giving an automotive update to an old country tradition. According to the San Diego Automotive Museum, the movement is an extension of the Mexican cultural custom called the paseo. In the paseo, it used to happen in the past, young men and women would gather in the center of town to check each other out, flirt from opposite ends of the courtyard. They'd often call local caballeros, and they would deck themselves out, and they would deck out their horses in a game of lavish one-upmanship. So they would get their horses, they would get all dressed up and go down to the town center and hang out and look super cool. Decades later, custom cars would replace their steeds. So cars took over instead of horses. So they'd have to get their cars decked out, go to the center of town, and hang out. Starting in the 1950s, Southern California lowriders became the latter-day caballeros. Just like a cowboy on his horse, these Chicanos had their lowriders. They decked out their rides by lowering them to the ground and cruising the streets. Here's some pictures. You can pause it if you want to read the captions. Ladies' Pride was San Diego's first women's-only car club. The first lowriders filled their trunks with sandbags and even cut spring coils to push their cars towards the ground. In 1958, California lawmakers made it illegal to drive a car with any part lower than the bottom of the wheel's rims. But that same year, the Chevy Impala was released, and its frame was perfect for lowering. In 1959, a man customized a new hydraulic technique to raise and lower cars with the flip of a switch, making it possible for drivers to circumvent the new law. That means they could get around the law. So their car would be the same most of the time, but they could put it up or down as they needed. That didn't stop the police from finding an excuse to ticket lowriders, though. You can see in the picture, this person is getting ticketed for having his lowrider. They even closed down streets that they knew that people liked to cruise on. This upset some people, and they even demonstrated against police harassment, saying they want justice. This picture's from 1979. Just like graffiti is to hip-hop, lowriding is just one element to the larger Chicano culture. This is in poster advertising art at a lowrider contest. Here's the Lowrider Queen of 1983. Here's a Chicano Park Day celebration. Here's a lowrider car show at a 4th of July celebration in Huntington Park, LA, 1982. The front of Lowrider magazine with the most famous lowrider, the Gypsy Rose. As with many subcultures, there came a tipping point when the practice went mainstream. That means it wasn't just little groups of people doing it anymore. Lots of people started doing it. It became really popular. Here's a car show. Here's a custom garage built for a lowrider. And here it is again, the Gypsy Rose. It's now housed in the Peterson Automobile Museum in LA. So there's a brief history of lowriders. It came from an old tradition where people would go to town dressed up on their horses and show off and meet people and hang out. And then it turned into people getting in their cars and making their cars super fancy and going and cruising to show off and hang out as well. Follow along on the next couple pages. Oops. Follow along on the next couple pages in Seesaw for your next parts of the assignment. You'll have some writing and some matching and some drawing.